So let's talk about artificial intelligence in music. And I know. Forget all those scary headlines about robots coming for our jobs. Today, we're going to look at this from a totally different angle. We're going to reframe AI not as some kind of threat, but as maybe, just maybe, your most dedicated creative partner. And it all starts in a place a lot of us know really, really well. A quiet studio, late at night.
You know this feeling, right? If you've ever tried to create anything, you know this feeling. It's late, the world outside is finally quiet, the only light is from a couple of warm lamps casting these long shadows on your gear. It's just you, your instrument, and this song that just refuses to show up. The air is so thick with what you want to create, but also with just sheer exhaustion.
You've been strumming the same 4 chords for what feels like an eternity. G, D, E, M, C. Over and over and over again. You know the melody is in there somewhere, but the words, they're just ghosts. You look down at your notebook and it's just a graveyard of crossed out lines. That is writer's block. It's like you're standing in front of a locked door and you can hear the music on the other side, but you just can't find the key.
Now, the musician in our story, he didn't turn to technology because he was some big believer in AI. No way. He turned to it out of pure late-night desperation. He was just tired. He'd hit a wall, plain and simple. So he pops open his laptop and just types out this messy, barely coherent description of what he was trying to say with the song.
And of course, most of what the AI spat back was pretty generic. Some of it was actually kind of funny. But then, there was one line. Just one. And it was honest. He picks up his guitar, sings it quietly to himself, and just like that, click. The verse unlocked. The song could finally breathe. It's that incredible rush of relief every creator lives for, that moment when it all just falls into place.
And that, right there, was the turning point, the big realization. Creativity hadn't been replaced. It wasn't cheapened. Instead, it felt like he'd just found a new collaborator. One that never got tired, didn't have an ego, and was totally happy to just throw 1,000 ideas at the wall until something, anything, finally stuck. So that little late-night session, it actually reveals this really powerful philosophy for creating. See, this isn't about letting a machine write your songs for you. It's about changing how you work and finding a totally new kind of partner in the process.
Okay, so to really get this partnership, you have to understand one crucial thing. AI doesn't feel music. It has no idea what heartbreak or joy is. It's just a ridiculously powerful pattern recognition machine. It's analyzed massive amounts of music, so it can predict what note or word is statistically likely to come next. It knows what chords sound good together, but it has zero intention. And that's exactly why you, the human, are still the most important part of this whole equation.
And this leads to the core idea. Think of AI as an endlessly fast sketch artist. I mean, it can fill 100 blank pages with ideas, melodies, lyrics, chord changes, in the time it takes you to brew a cup of coffee. But you are still the master artist. You're the one who walks through that gallery of possibilities, points, and says, that one. That's the one that has soul. That's the masterpiece.
Now, this new way of working, it naturally brings up a lot of questions. And let's be honest, a whole lot of fear. So you know what? Let's just tackle the biggest myths head on.
This is the number one fear, right? But it's kind of misunderstanding what the tool actually does. Look, the piano didn't replace composers, the electric guitar didn't replace musicians, and AI won't either. It doesn't replace your unique voice or your taste. What it replaces is the friction. That blank page, the frustrating search for the right chord, all those hours spent on boring repetitive tasks. It automates the labor, not the art.
So, is using AI cheating? Well, let me ask you this. Is a photographer cheating by using a camera instead of painting a portrait? Is a music producer cheating by using a synthesizer instead of hiring a full orchestra? Of course not. AI is just the next creative instrument in a long line of new technologies. The tool itself is totally neutral. The value comes from your intent, the story you want to tell, and the feeling you're trying to share.
And that brings us to a really crucial point. Let's be real. Soulless music existed long before AI ever showed up. A tool can't have a soul. A song only feels empty when the human creator behind it makes empty choices, whether they're using a guitar or a supercomputer. The emotion in a song never ever comes from the instrument. It comes from the artist's choices, their memories, and their heart.
Okay, so with any powerful new tool, there's always some responsibility that comes with it. It's not enough to just press a button and walk away. You have to guide this new collaborator, and you have to do it with integrity and a clear vision for what you want to create. And that guidance is really built on a few key ideas. First, use it to create something original. Don't just imitate. Second, if you're exploring global music styles, do it with respect, not as a stereotype. Third, always remember that you are the director. AI can suggest, but you always have the final say. And finally, let's prioritize making meaningful art, not just churning out a high volume of content.
So, what does all this really mean for the future of making music? Well, the implications are actually incredibly exciting and honestly super empowering for creators everywhere.
I mean, think about it. For the first time in history, the big barriers to making professional-sounding music are just dissolving. You're no longer limited by whether you can afford an expensive studio, or if you have years of technical training, or if you can hire a bunch of session musicians. The main thing holding you back now is your own imagination, your own taste.
And this is really what it all leads to. Let the machine do the grunt work. Seriously. Let it generate 50 ideas you'd never have time to try on your own. Let it handle all the technical heavy lifting. Because that frees you up, the creator, to focus entirely on what actually matters: the artistry, the emotion, and the story you're trying to tell.
And it all just boils down to this. An algorithm can arrange notes in a pattern that sounds pleasing. It can generate sound, but it can't fill that sound with your memories or your heartbreak or your joy. It can't turn sound into a story that makes another human being feel something. Only you can do that. Only you can turn it into art.
So the door to the studio is wide open. Your new collaborator is warmed up, it's endlessly patient, and it's ready to explore any wild idea you can possibly dream up. The only question left is, what are you going to create together?